Sprinting, it's the most important tool in a cyclist's saddlebag. If you can't sprint, then you cannot win races. Picture the scene. Back in the outside world after a winter, suffering inside the pain cave, you're out on your usual weekend ride with your mates. And normally, you're the one that's last to the pub, meaning by default that you have to pay for the drinks. Except for this time, when your friends unleash their sprint, you fire past them like a rocket, leaving them not even able to hold the wheel. Because after last week's humiliation, you learned a new, little-known technique, the one the pros use. After the ride, your friends are unable to comprehend your newfound speed and are begging you to share your secret. This week, as well as the free drinks, you taste the sweetest victory of all, bragging rights. Well, it might not be as ridiculous as it sounds. Whether you're at the back of every bunch sprint or you're taking every green jersey in Watopia, this secret tip will give you more power for free instantly with no extra training. I'm Jake from Snow CC and I've been teaching sprints and sprint-based technique on Zwift for over 2 years now. Via a group ride that I lead called the Snowshore Sprint and Spin, the race team that I run called Snow CC, and the race series that we organise called the D-Side Snow Sprint Series. Now, I should be quite clear, I am not a pro cyclist, but I am the proud owner of a whopping 10 Strava KOMs from the last year since I transitioned to outside riding from Zwift. And unfortunately for you guys, the likes of Cavendish and Ewan just don't care about you in the same way that I do.
There's not there you are.
When I learned this trick several years ago, I gained over 100 watts to my peak power overnight. And I've had hundreds of people tell me directly that their sprint has improved after I taught them this secret method. In both coaching sessions and via the group ride that I run. Okay, enough talking guys, it's time for us to head out onto the roads of Watopia and really put the power down. Today I'm going to talk about and show you a technique that will guarantee to give you more power and a faster sprint. And it revolves around something that you might not have considered before, your upper body and your core strength. The number one thing that people do wrong is putting their hands on the wrong place on the handlebars. A lot of people sprint here with their hands on the hoods. And whilst that might be good for outside climbing, it's not as effective for sprinting for two reasons. Firstly, you won't be in as much of an aero position as if your hands were further down here in the drops. Whilst that will impact your speed when you're out on the road, it's not as much of a big deal in Zwift. Secondly, and most importantly for Zwift however, you'll find that you're not able to transfer all of that power from your body and your core into the bike, and thus only be using your leg strength rather than your whole body strength. Now thankfully for me, you don't need arms like a bodybuilder to be able to sprint well on the bike. But you do need to be able to use your upper body and your arms to anchor yourself onto the bike and make sure you've got a really strong position. We do this so that we can transfer all of the power that our body can produce down through the pedals and into the drivetrain, ensuring that not a single watt is left out of our sprint. And that's a lot more than just your legs alone can produce. Your legs are a huge part of sprinting. They're not the only thing that matters. Now that's where the secret part of this technique comes in. And I say secret because I estimate around 90% of the 400, 500, 600 people I've taught this method to on Zwift didn't know about it. And every single one of them that tried it said that it improved their sprint. Now that brings us to the most important part of sprinting, and the only way that you're going to gain any extra power without doing any extra training. That brings us to our secret tip. I like to call it the push-pull technique. And it looks like this. Take your hands from the hoods, put them into the drops, and note the position of your leg as it's pushing down, the 2 or 3 o'clock position. And what we're going to do is when your right leg pushes down at that 2 or 3 o'clock position, with your hands in the drops, your hand is going to pull up towards your hips as hard as you can. So you're pushing down with the right leg at the 2 or 3 o'clock position, and you're also at the same time pulling into your body, into your hips almost, with that arm. It causes a counterbalance as you push and pull at the same time. Then as you hit the other side and your leg goes down with the left leg pedal stroke, you do the same thing. You push down with your left leg and you pull up with your left arm. It's like a rocking motion, and it just rocks you either side like that. You'll notice that I'm sitting now. You can practice this technique sitting to understand the basics of it and to try and learn how it works. And once you've done that, it's going to be about getting out of the saddle and trying to apply the same principle. Rocking back and forward, you'll feel it like a metronome. The power rocks you from side to side. It's more obvious out on the road because you use your arms. But in Zwift, when you're on a stationary trainer and you're fixed, you're not moving as much. So you can create that movement yourself by doing this rocking motion with the push-pull technique. Some people find it helps to imagine they're Superman bending a frying pan or a steel bar in half like that. You're pulling the bars almost together, pushing them together and into your hips. And this push-pull technique is much more effective than with your hands on the hoods or even your hands in the drops without it, because it means that you're transferring every last watt of power, of energy from yourself, through your body, into the pedals and into the drivetrain and giving you that speed. So now we've explained the basics of our top secret, simple trick that's guaranteed to give you extra watts. Let's take it out onto the roads of Watopia and give it a try. It's not just take my word for it, let's go and prove this. This first effort we're going to try a sprint, a maximal sprint, with our hand on the hoods like if we were climbing for gradient. Okay, wish me luck, let's go. This time for attempt 2, we're going to have our hands in the drops, but we're not going to use the push-pull technique. More aero position. And finally, for attempt 3, let's put it all together. Let's try a sprint with the push-pull technique dialed in, out of the saddle, hands in the drops, and let's see what the maximum peak power we can hit is. Results speak for themselves. Over 100 watts more on the final attempt than attempt 1. There you have it, guys. The easy and simple trick that guarantees you will get extra watts on your sprint for free. Okay, so now it's time for you to get out there on the roads of Watopia, the roads of the real world, and give this a try. Practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And remember, you can reach out to us at SnowCC if you're looking to improve your sprinting further. You can join us on this Friday Snowshul Sprint and Spin at 6 o'clock UK time, or if you want to try it in a race environment or join a race team, then you can join us on the D-Side Snow Sprint Series on Saturdays at 4:15. There's more sprints, techniques and tactics available on the channel, along with race footage from ZRL, Zwift, if you're looking to get some tips for racing. And remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and make sure that you comment below. Tell me, how many watts did you gain? What did you think? And remember, put the power down.